My hot take is Mike ruined everything.
People act like we can't have these conversations. And I feel like that's a part of the game.
A lot of that shit is out of their control. Who knows what Anthony Edwards would be right now if he got drafted by the Celtics.
The ring discourse didn't really start until like LeBron started getting into the league because they tried to use it to compare him to Jordan.
Winning a championship does matter on your resume and how we view you.
Tracy McGrady was my guy. At the time, you couldn't tell me he wasn't better than Kobe.
He was. We had a clip and we were talking about KD's legacy. Obviously, that's your podcast host or your show host. I'm not going to KD you to death, but I want to know, like, what's your actual thoughts on like NBA players now and their legacy and what that means to them? Because I feel like personally, like that means a lot to an NBA player.
I think it's an interesting convo because a lot of times when we do it, we're like comparing trophy cases. Almost every player I've ever spoken to about that is like, well, the respect for my peers is what it's like. When I met, Dr. J, and he was like, yo, you're great. That was it.
Yeah.
Us sitting here and going, Isaiah Thomas's legacy doesn't necessarily add up. I don't think Zeke really gives a fuck about that. So yeah. I think they're great combos to have. I think they're combos we've always had. It's one of those combos, though, that's like, there's no right answer to this argument. We're talking Tracy McGrady's legacy, right? He's a Hall of Famer. Like, there's kind of no way around that, right? And he was great. What are we arguing at that point? Yeah. Or are we arguing like top 10s? Like, and I think with Kevin, that comes up a lot too. It's like top 10. I thought he had a great quote on that. He was like, if we were all at the park and Mike and LeBron, they picked their fives and we ran, like, I'd get picked. That's fine. That's good enough for me. It's true. If we were watching 20 guys hoop at the gym, the 7-foot dude who's hitting threes and crossing people over, we'd be like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah.
The same with LeBron, like the 6'10" guy who's just faster than everybody. He's bigger than everybody. He's dunking and he's doing everything. I don't know. Legacy is weird. Like, it's just like we were just saying too. A lot of that shit is out of their control. Who knows what Anthony Edwards would be right now if he got drafted by the Celtics? What we view Jason Tatum is this. I love JT. He's my guy. As this like winner and this great young player. But if he was on the Blazers, like, who knows what we'd see him as?
Yeah. I thought about it this way the other day. Like, it's almost in the definition. Like, legacy is what you're like remembered for. And remembering is something that you do that with your brain. So it's literally subjective. So everyone is going to remember for like different things. Like me personally, I'm a Nets fan. I write for the Nets. I watched a lot of KD ball. My dad, he went to BC when Larry Bird was there. Mm-hmm. He always says, I know like Michael Jordan, like more chips, like all that stuff. But to him, Larry Bird is like his like guy. Like I kind of like didn't like get that. Like I know like Bird's like it, but I didn't get what he meant by like seeing more. But having watched KD and watch him play and like you said, you're like shocked when it doesn't go in.
That game 5 versus the Bucks, I was there. I remember he missed a shot. There were like 2 minutes to go in regulation. I remember going, I don't think he's missed in like an hour. And I went and looked like on the play-by-play shit, and sure enough, he hadn't missed since the second quarter. And I was like, that's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. If a player can reach that level, and then we start talking about legacy and we start picking that apart, like now we're just being assholes. Yeah. I know I just watched greatness.
And people are inspired by like different things too. Like here's another, like I was not old enough to watch like Jordan like play, but just the mystique around him and like the stories and a lot like that like inspired the fuck out of me. So I love him for that reason. Like we all have different reasons.
But I think like NBA Twitter is very sensitive. I'll relate it to like being at the lunch table, right? And you got your guy, I got my guy, and I'm gonna debate why he's better. We hear this conversation going on. I know the NBA players hear it too. So like when that conversation was about Kevin Durant's legacy with the Suns, him winning a championship is going to mean a lot because it's separated from the whole Steph thing. And you could say, well, he's still great. I understand that too. That's true. But like just from a fan standpoint, people act like we can't have these conversations. And I feel like that's a part of the game. Winning a championship does matter on your resume and how we view you. Michael Jordan, great player, obviously go to some. But like we look at him that way because he won 6 championships. He won 3 back-to-back. He retired, came back and won another 3 more. Even with LeBron, like LeBron's great, solidified, but I'm still so sure he's chasing rings because he wants to add to that legacy. So when people be like, oh, you can't have that conversation because this player is great, I get mad confused by that because I'm like, bro, like why not? Like this is what we do. We're fans of the game. Play this money and we watch these players. It's like, yo, bro, I'm going to debate it. You shouldn't just say that, oh, they're a great player, so we should just shut the fuck up. That's
the conversation of sports, is ranking the players who's better, the teams that's better, this and that. So I'm not saying we shouldn't have those conversations. I just think we got to be a little wary of who we're talking to when we have these conversations sometimes because we get bogged down in a lot of bullshit with it. I think Larry Bird is a great example too because if you was there for Larry Bird, you really thought he was that fucking guy.
Yeah, like he was like a kid living in Boston. Like
Tracy McGrady was my guy. When I was in high school, I wanted to hoop like Tracy McGrady. So like at the time, you couldn't tell me he wasn't better than Kobe. Now when you say that now, people are like, fuck no, you're an idiot. But I'm like, yo, if you was there though, they really thought of them as equals. And you listen to Kobe and T-Mac talk, they did too. But like there's some of it lost if you're not in the moment. So it's the same with like music. It was a whole different conversation. But like I was joking about Ice Spice, like I don't get it. And then I went to some and I'm like, I'm just old. Like this is beyond me. I went to a block party out here and they play that shit and I'm like, oh, I get it. Sometimes you gotta have shit in this element. You know what I mean? I think it's true for basketball too.
What's exhausting with legacy talk is the rings. But ring discourse really, to me, didn't really start until like LeBron started getting into the league because they tried to use it to compare him to Jordan.
My hot take is Mike ruined everything.
There's like an ad of him where he's like, maybe I'll ruin the game. Or whatever,
yeah, he has the perfect resume. He never lost in the finals. He has all these records. He won scoring title and defense player of the year at the same time. He did all that shit. But he set that template. And nobody's gonna ever have that career. So nobody's ever going to match up to that ever. The way the league is situated now, we don't even see repeat titleists anymore. No. We don't even see repeat like trips. How many times can we look back in the last 20 years and say, okay, the best player won the title? 5? We're debating if the best player won last year. And he's fucking great. And even on the same token, like people are going, well, how much does that title matter because he played this person, that person, this person?
That's also such like bullshit because like 5-10 years from now, no one's going to remember like the road that you took to get there. They're just going to see that you won the chip.
And the way they'll remember it is like they beat a young Anthony Edwards, they beat KD and Book, they beat LeBron, and then they beat Jimmy Butler, the playoff hero. So it's going to sound amazing. And the way we're picking it apart now is saying, oh, well, the Suns were hurt, the Timberwolves were the 9 seed or whatever they were. Time shaves away so many rough edges of everything.
Everything we're talking about, how like kind of at the base of all this is that there's kind of is no right answer because and it is what it is and we're all humans and have different opinions of that. But that's what makes it good though. If we were all just like, you know what, you're right. And then we were just like moved on to the next thing, it wouldn't be fun.
Does JBobby make you angry? Well, that's good. Let us know in the comments. Like and subscribe, baby.